I fear. The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid when the wicked, even my enemy, my faith and trust I put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand.
Show me the way, Lord.
I will be faithful, for I am desolate and afflicted. Lord, show me the way.
And now we will have the reading of the law. Found in Exodus, the 20th chapter, verses 1 through 17. Okay, go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Now let's go into Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Read verses 13 and 14.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
And let's go into Revelation chapter 22, verses 14 and 15.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
So we want to thank God for the reading of the law. I am glad to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. Now, the title of this lesson, sisters and brothers, is The Punishment of Israel is from God and no one else. The punishment of Israel is from God and no one else. The reason I put this lesson together, sisters and brothers, because all these years ago, especially when it started to get popular, that we was the Israelites that the Bible is talking about, and instead of rejoicing, all I heard was complaining. And how we going to get in and get even with this person, and what's God's going to do to this person, and how he going to take down this country because what they did to us. And I just listened. Nobody acknowledged our transgression, neither did we acknowledge the transgressions of our fathers. Everybody is guilty but us. And I took issue with that, sisters and brothers. And the Lord put it in my mind to make a lesson on this, to show you that the God of Israel is the one that punished Israel. And when the Lord says something's going to happen, someone have to do it. Then maybe if we put the blame where we are and we do some repenting, maybe the Lord will take the pressure up off us a little bit. Of course, I received the wrath of the other Hebrew Israelites, but that have never been a problem with me. Sisters and brothers, this thing, I've said it over and over, is between us and God. Anybody else brought into it was brought in it because of our relationship between us and God. And we're going to start this in Matthew, the 21st chapter. Because the Lord letting you know, and this just didn't start when Jesus came, it started way before, sisters and brothers. But I want to show you that this thing is between us and our God, the God of Israel. Had we been straight with him, he would have been straight with us.
Yes.
Well, he's always been straight with us, brother, because what he said, if you don't do this, I'm going to straight up whip your head. We didn't listen. Then we're going to start this at verse 33. Matthew chapter 21, and we're going to start at verse 33, because we're going to identify who is doing what and who is who. 21 and 33. Okay, go ahead.
Here another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard and hedged it round about, and digged the winepress in it.
Go ahead.
And built a tower and let it out to husbandmen and went into a far country.
Now we're going to show you this husbandman, the one that planted this vineyard, this household. Let's talking about the Lord, sister and brother. So he planted this vineyard, and he went to a far country. In this case, is heaven, and he left it in the hand of the husbandmen, which are the ministers.
Right.
Go ahead and read.
And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen, that they might receive the fruits of it.
Go ahead.
And the husbandmen took his servants and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another.
Now this is when the Lord sent these servants, are talking about his prophets, sisters and brothers. When the Lord sent the prophets by to see how to deal with Israel, what they do, instead of them repenting, they took action. They beat and murdered them. Go ahead and read.
Again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise.
Go ahead.
But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, they will reverence my son.
So now they kept killing and murdering the prophets and beating them. He said, okay, then I know what, I'm going to send my son. They're going to reverence him. They wouldn't dare do that to him. But let's see what happened. Go ahead.
But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance.
This is the heir. Let us kill him and seize on his inheritance. That's why when you see these churches around now, sisters and brothers, it's talking about so-and-so, Reverend X and YZ's church. The name on it everywhere. That's why the Lord put in my mind, don't put no name on nobody in the Israel of God. Whether it's me or whether it's the local pastor, because the house is the Lord. And I'm not going to be among these that say we're going to kill the heir and seize on his inheritance. Go ahead, what verse?
Verse 39.
Go ahead.
And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him.
Go ahead. They cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. Go ahead.
When the Lord therefore of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto these husbandmen?
Jesus asked the people, what did they say?
They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their seasons.
Now, the other husbandmen, sisters and brothers, are going to be the people in the first resurrection. But he said he's going to destroy. They said he's going to destroy these wicked men. Now let's see who felt insulted. Skip down to verse 45. 45 and read it.
And when the chief priests and Pharisees...
Now when the street walkers and the hustlers...
Priests and the Pharisees.
When the chief priests and the Pharisees, go ahead.
Had heard his parables.
Go ahead.
They perceived that he spake of them.
Their perception was correct.
Yes, it was.
Because he was teaching against the ministers. They are the ones that God left in charge of his vineyard. Now let's see who this vineyard is. Because if this vineyard go bad, the whole world is in trouble. So we want to find out who this vineyard is. Let's go into Isaiah, the 5th chapter. Isaiah chapter 5. And I still see it going on, sisters and brothers, right now. Nowadays, they want to kick on the name of Jesus. But look, sisters and brothers, Israel rebelled against him no matter what his name was. Because it's not about the name, it's about whether you want to obey or not. Isaiah 5, and we're going to start at verse 1, because we're going to find out who this vineyard is. 5 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard.
Touching his vineyard, because the well-beloved is the Lord, sisters and brothers. He's going to sing touching his vineyard. Go ahead and read.
My well-beloved has a vineyard in a very fruitful hill.
Go ahead.
And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine.
Go ahead.
And built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes.
Nice. When he planted this vineyard, he gave all the tools and everything and instruction that they needed for this vineyard to succeed and prosper. But when he looked for grapes, he found wild grapes. If he put the best of seeds in there, why is it you got wild grapes? Because somebody else planted their own seed. But go ahead and read.
And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
Go ahead.
What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it?
Go ahead.
Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes.
Now he said, what more could I have done? I gave these people, gave them good land. I gave them good crops. I gave them good laws. There was nobody more equipped than they were. So what is it that I could have done that was not done to this vineyard? Go ahead and read.
And now go to. I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard.
I'm going to tell you what the nations are going to do to my vineyard.
What the Lord is going to do.
I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. Go ahead and read.
I will take away the hedge thereof.
In other words, they ain't going to have no protection. See, the hedges is the angels, sisters and brothers. That's what Satan told God concerning Job. Why shouldn't he serve you? You didn't put a hedge around him and everything he had. It was a hedge around Israel. We never lost a battle. But still, he said, now I'm going to take my hedge from around him. Go ahead and read.
And it shall be eaten up.
And it's going to be eaten up.
And break down the wall thereof.
I'm going to break down the wall of protection. Go ahead and read.
And it shall be trodden down.
Go ahead.
And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it.
He said, I'm going to lay it waste. I'm not going to let it rain on it. So if you don't rain on your crop, it's going to die. Go ahead and read.
For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel.
Is who?
The house of Israel.
Go ahead and read.
And the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression.
Go ahead.
For righteousness, but behold a cry.
See now, we want to lay everything that happened, that we are doing, on the people that we are enslaved to. Well, you know, the white man taught us this, and this taught us this. Look, the Lord is the one. So look, I look for plants. And what did I find? I found oppression, and I found a cry. Because Israel started out oppressing Israel, sisters and brothers. And then everybody that came to it, that came close to it, they would start to oppress them. That's why the Lord told Israel not to withhold a stranger from his rights.
That's right.
So the vineyard of the Lord is the whole nation of Israel. So who messed it up, sisters and brothers? The ministers. It's all that simple. Let's go into Jeremiah, the 12th chapter. Jeremiah 12. See, our leaders, well, we had kings too. When you say ministers, the one that the Lord put in charge, not only religious, but we're talking about the people that was in charge. The kings and the princes. All our leadership is what caused this to happen to us, sisters and brothers. Jeremiah chapter 12. And we're going to start reading at verse 7. Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 7. Because this is the Israel and the God of Israel thing. Nobody else is included except for when the Lord brought them in, and he brought them in. So think about it. Like brothers try to challenge me sometime about the Bible. So, you know, the certain version said this and the Greek version said this. I'm going to tell you something, mister. I said, I have to believe all of this Bible and none of it. I don't know how to cherry pick. Now, if the God that I serve, let somebody give me a roadmap to salvation, and it's the wrong roadmap, then I can stand before him and say, God, this is what you gave me. Right. And you told me you was going to give it to me in my own language, because he said, with a stammering lip and another tongue will I speak to this people. That tells me that he's going to speak to me in a language that I understand. So if I can't believe all this book, I can't believe any of it. True. It's all that simple. But who brings it to me all the time? Israel. So we're going to see who messed this thing up. Jeremiah chapter 12, and we're going to start reading at verse 7. Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 7. Okay, go ahead.
I have forsaken mine house.
Wait a minute. The Lord said he's forsaken his house. His house is the vineyard of the Lord. And who is the vineyard of the Lord? Israel. I have forsaken my house. Go ahead.
I have left mine heritage. I have given the dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies.
The enemies came and took him out of my hand by force.
Gave them to him.
He said, I have given the beloved. That's what he think about you, Israel. I have given the beloved of my soul into the hands of the enemies. Go ahead and read.
Mine heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest.
Go ahead.
It crieth out against me. Therefore have I hated it.
Now he said, just like a lion in the forest. My people cried out against me, and they still doing it. Just like a lion in the forest. He said, therefore I hated it.
Yes.
Well, you know, Lord can't hate. What did you just read there?
He hated it.
Go ahead and read.
Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird.
Go ahead.
The birds round about are against her.
Now, she like a speckled bird. Don't nobody want my heritage around now because of what I've done to her. Go ahead and read.
Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour.
Go ahead.
Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard.
Who destroyed the vineyard?
Pastors.
Many pastors. And I'm going to tell you something, they're still destroying the vineyard. Go ahead and read.
They have trodden my portion underfoot.
Uh-huh.
They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness.
Go ahead.
They have made it desolate, and being desolate it mourneth unto me.
Uh-huh.
The whole land is made desolate because no man layeth it to heart.
Because of what the pastors did and the leaders. The people would go if the people taught them how. Go ahead and read.
The spoilers are come upon all high places through the wilderness.
Uh-huh.
For the sword of the Lord shall devour from the one end of the land even to the other end of the land.
Go ahead.
No flesh shall have peace.
That's why all of Israel was cast out, sisters and brothers. But who is this? This is the vineyard of the Lord. The whole house of Israel. That's why the spoilers come upon Israel. The Syrians came. Babylonians came. In fact, we have been captives longer than we have been a nation. Because we sinned against our God. And God called Israel the dearly beloved of his heart, sister and brother. He loved his people. Let's go back to Songs of Solomon, the first chapter. Songs of Solomon, chapter 1. Because it had to be hard on God. He loved his people. Took out other people for his people. And they turned on him. And still doing it. Songs of Solomon, chapter 1. And we're going to start at verse 5. Because this is the Lord. Remember, the vineyard of the Lord is the house of Israel. And the Lord said Israel is his beloved. Verse 5, go ahead.
I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem.
This is Jerusalem. This is Jesus talking here by the mouth of Solomon. I am black but comely, O you daughters of Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
As the tents of Kedar.
Go ahead.
As the curtains of Solomon.
Go ahead.
Look not upon me because I am black.
Go ahead.
Because the sun had looked upon me.
That's a metaphor. You can't turn black by standing in the sun. But he's letting you know that he is black, but go ahead.
My mother's children were angry with me.
My mother's children were angry with me. Who did Jesus come into this world as? An Israelite. Who is it that forced the Romans to crucify him?
The Israelites.
Israelites. My mother's children was angry with me. Go ahead and read.
They made me the keeper of the vineyard.
They made me the keeper of the vineyards.
But mine own vineyard have I not kept.
So now, my mother's children, Israel, forced me to keep other vineyards, which are other nations. But my own vineyard have I not kept. How is it that they forced him? By rebelling against him. Even making him hate us. So now look at all these vineyards. Everybody around us doing good, but what are you doing as a people? Things didn't come up on you. Let's go into 69th chapter of Psalm. Psalm chapter 69. Back right up. Because he said his mother's children was angry with him. They made him the keepers of other vineyards, while his own vineyard is gone unkept. Remember, he tore down the wall.
Yes.
He let the beast come into it. He wouldn't rain on it. It was all him. He did this. And when he came, they forced the Romans to crucify him. They didn't want to crucify Jesus. Verse 1, 69 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Save me, O God, for the waters are come in unto my soul.
This is Jesus talking to the Father, sisters and brothers. That's why he said on the cross, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And here he said, save me, O God, for the waters are come in unto my soul. Skip down to verse 4 and look what he said. Go ahead.
They that hate me without a cause are more than the hairs of mine head.
It's just like, why do we hate our God? You can't come up with one reason. He said, but they are more than the hairs of my head. Go ahead.
They that would destroy me, being mine enemies wrongfully, are mighty. Then I restored that which I took not away.
He said, they will destroy me of my enemy. They are mighty. He said, then I restored that which I took not away. What did he restore? He restored our chance to eternal life that Adam took away from you. This is Jesus talking, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 8, rather. Verse 8. And go ahead.
I am become a stranger unto my brethren.
Remember, I become a stranger to my brethren. Go ahead and read.
And an alien unto my mother's children.
Tell you about his mother's children again. Isn't that correct? He's his mother's children. Made him keeper of other vineyards. So I'm an alien unto my mother's children. Go ahead and read.
For the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up.
Go ahead.
And the reproaches of them that reproach thee are fallen upon me.
And the debts that they have made, I am the one that had to pay it. The reproaches of them that reproach me, thee has fallen on me. Now let's go into Romans the 5th chapter and hook this directly up with Jesus to let you know that I have not been telling you something that the book did not tell you. This is between Israel and his God. And who is this God? This thing is between Israel and Jesus. You ain't never dealt with the Father. Nobody has dealt with the Father. It's always been Israel and Jesus when his name was Jehovah. Always. To show you that it was him that's doing all of this talking, we're going to let Romans hook it up. Romans the 15th chapter, and verse 1, read it.
We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak.
Now, we that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. Go ahead and read.
And not to please ourselves.
And not to please ourselves. Let's skip down to verse 3 and read it.
For even Christ pleased not himself.
For even Christ pleased not himself. Go ahead.
But as it is written.
As it is written.
The reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me.
The reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me. Didn't we just read this in the 69th chapter of Psalm?
Yes.
Because that was Jesus talking, sisters and brothers. This has been this love, hate against your God since he got you out of captivity. And we want to come in these last days and we want to throw the blame on everybody else. To show you where he got this vine from, this vineyard that he loves so much. Let's show you where he got it from. Let's go into Psalm the 80th chapter. Psalm chapter 80. Because I want to be thorough in this, sisters and brothers, so you won't have it in your mind and hate other people. That's why I say all the time, there's no people on this earth that I hate. No individual. Because I know what has befallen me and why. I know if I had done it right, my people have done it right, it would have been right. Psalms the chapter 80. Psalms 80. And we're going to start reading at verse 7. Psalms 80 and verse 7. Okay, go ahead.
Turn us again, O God of hosts, and cause thy face to shine.
Go ahead.
And we shall be saved.
That's the only way. Go ahead and read.
Thou hast brought a band out of Egypt. Thou hast cast out the heathen and planted it.
What did the Lord bring out of Egypt? Israel. And he cast out the heathen and planted. Who did he cast out? The Canaanites, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
Thou preparest room before it, and didst cause it to take deep root, and it filled the land.
Go ahead.
The hills were covered with the shadow of it, and the boughs thereof were like the goodly cedars.
I mean, Israel really prospered, especially under David and Solomon. Go ahead.
She sent out her boughs unto the sea, and her branches unto the river.
Go ahead.
Why hast thou then broken down her hedges, so that all they which pass by the way do pluck her?
He said, you got all these good things for her, and you planted her. Then he turned around and asked the question, why hast thou broken down the hedges there? He done went through all of this to plant this vineyard, to give it everything it needs, to make it prosper the best on the earth. Then he turned around and he takes down the wall and started ripping it up. Question is, why? Go ahead and read.
The boar out of the wood doth waste it.
No matter what come up on this vineyard, they're wasted. Go ahead and read.
And the wild beast of the field doth devour it. Return, we beseech thee, O God of hosts.
Go ahead.
Look down from heaven and behold and visit this vine.
He said, return. Look down from heaven and visit this vine, because this has been a very, very naughty vine, sisters and brothers. Go ahead.
And the vineyard which thy right hand hath planted, and the branch that thou madest strong for thyself.
Go ahead.
It is burned with fire. It is cut down. They perish at the rebuke of thy countenance.
He said, and this branch that you have made strong for yourself, because he chose us to go and teach the other people. But we return bad. And he said, this vineyard that you planted for yourself, it is burned with fire. it is cut down, and they perish at the rebuke of thy countenance, not somebody else.
Right.
This is between God and Israel, sisters and brothers. This is between Jesus and Israel before he came and in his Father's name. Long time. Let's go into Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter. Jeremiah chapter 2. Jeremiah chapter 2. Because all you hear from Israel is belly aching. On the street harassing people and calling them names, disrespecting women. Running around with costumes on, thinking that's a military attire so the people can easily identify you and take you out when it's time.
Wow.
Nobody paying no attention, sisters and brothers. But people want to be a part of that. Well, I'm going to tell you something. It just didn't start now. It started a long time ago. And the Lord is the one that took his vineyard down. We're going to start at verse 4. Jeremiah 2 and verse 4. Okay, go ahead.
Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob.
Go ahead.
And all the families of the house of Israel.
Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they have gone far from me and have walked after vanity and are become vain?
Now he asked a question. He said, what iniquity, a sin have your fathers found in me? I want to know. If you're going to indict somebody, if you're going to run away from somebody, if you're going to condemn and disobey somebody, you must have found something wrong that they've done. So God had asked the question, what iniquity have your fathers found in me that made them vain? That means about nothing. You used to be a priest, but now you ain't nothing. That's what vain means, sister and brother. And what you're dealing with is vanity. That's what we're running after. Go ahead and read what verse?
Verse 6.
Neither
said they, where's the Lord that brought us up out of the land of Egypt?
Do we hear anybody talking about that nowadays? Even the ones that call themselves Hebrew Israelites, they don't ever talk about the God that brought them up out of the land of Egypt. Pay attention. It don't come out of their mouth. Go ahead and read.
That led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of drought and of the shadow of death.
Go ahead.
Through a land that no man passed through and where no man dwelt.
Nobody asked the question, where is this God? Go ahead and read.
And I brought you into a plentiful country to eat the fruit thereof.
Go ahead.
And the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination.
He said, look, I brought you into a plentiful land. I mean, everything there. Had some fruit so big until it took 2 people just to carry one vine with them hanging on.
That's right.
I gave you everything. And you have never asked, where is this God that did all this goodness for me? Never crossed the line. But what you did is you went in there and started sinning and created all kind of abominations in the land until you become worse than the people that he threw out. And that make you double worse because they never knew the God of Israel. But you did. They went and did all kind of abominable acts, sisters and brothers. And all we was concerned about, and look around today, still is drinking, boogalooing, for the young people that mean dancing, and having a good time. Let's go into Isaiah, the 5th chapter.
Verse 20.
What verse what?
That was the end of 7.
That was the end of 7. I'm sorry. Let's skip down to verse 20. I'm going too fast. Verse 20. Go ahead and read.
For of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy band.
Go ahead.
And thou saidest, I will not transgress, when upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest playing the harlot.
Look, sisters and brothers, look what you said. I'm the one that broke your bands and your yoke and bust your band. Then you said, I will not transgress when all the time you're sinning on every high hill. Now I'm looking at you like God is blind. It's bad enough to say, I'm not going to do something, and then later on down the line do it. But you saying I ain't going to do it, and I'm doing it right now. Go ahead and read.
Yet I had planted thee a noble vine.
I have planted you a noble vine. Remember, he said he gave this vineyard everything you need. Go ahead and read.
Wholly of right seed.
Uh-huh.
How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
He said, I planted you a noble vine. I gave you everything you wanted. A holy right seed. Now, how have you become the degenerate plant of a strange vine under me? I don't recognize none of this stuff that you call worshiping. You don't keep nothing I tell you to do. Skip down to verse 31. Verse 31. Verse 31. And go ahead.
O generation, see ye the word of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Have I been a wilderness unto Israel?
Uh-huh.
A land of darkness?
Go ahead.
Wherefore say my people, we are Lord's. We will come no more unto thee.
Wait a minute. You see what your ancestors said? You think that stopped with our ancestors? We still had that going on. Don't bring JC to me. I want you to bring me Yahweh. What language is that? Yahweh. Yahudah. Don't want to deal with the Lord. Don't want to have nothing to do with the God that delivered you from the house of bondage. And then you're going to turn around and say, we are all Lord's. That's the idea you get from these street vendors, brothers out there. We are all Lord. Therefore, we're not going to go back and deal with the God of Israel. We're not going to deal with this Jesus y'all talking about, or this JC. Why? Because we all Lord. We're going to make our own mode of laws. It just didn't start now. It started way back, but it's continuing. What verse?
Verse 32.
Go ahead.
Can a maid forget her ornaments or a bride her attire?
Uh-huh.
Yet my people have forgotten me days without number.
And we have. We forgot about God. Go ahead and read.
Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love?
Uh-huh.
Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways.
Whoa, we've been saying that they taught us their ways. But who did the teaching?
We did.
We did. That's why the Lord chose us to be teachers, but the only problem is we taught wickedness. So we taught the wicked one their ways, and now the Lord done turned the one that you taught back up on you, and they're whipping your head. And you angry at them, sisters and brothers. Instead of being angry at your forefathers. Because God gave us everything we need, sisters and brothers. I mean everything. We've thrown it all away. We're going for everybody's God. We're making up our own God. And the Lord got to the point where he said, these people here have gone totally dumb. When he planted that vineyard, he gave it everything that he needed. Now let's go into Isaiah, the 5th chapter. Isaiah chapter 5. But we don't want nothing substantial. We want to have fun. We want to dance. And then when we acknowledge ourselves, we want to act like some paramilitary operation. You are a captive. It's all that simple. And always swelling up in somebody's face that had an army, had a police force, and they had a law to back them up. Instead of going to your God. That means that these people, whatever little knowledge they had, they lost it. We're too busy having a good time. Verse 11. Isaiah 5 and 11. Okay, go ahead.
Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink.
Go ahead.
That continue until night, till wine inflame them.
Say, woe unto them that do this. Go ahead and read.
And the harp, and the viol, the tabret, and pipe, and wine are in their feasts. But
nobody have more musicians than we are. I mean, we got it. I know because I'm a music listener. But what they and wine in their feast, go ahead and read.
But they regard not the work of the Lord.
See, that's the big problem. Maybe he'll let you get away with it if you regard his work too. And anytime something goes contrary among your feasting, that's going contrary to him, then you don't do that part. But he said, they do not consider the work of the Lord. Go ahead and read.
Neither consider the operation of his hands.
Don't nobody care. Go to the average church tomorrow and ask them, who is the abomination of desolation? Huh?
Never heard it.
Who are the 10 toes in the 2nd chapter of Daniel, or the 10 horns on the 13th and 17th chapter of Revelation? Who? You should know God said in the days of these kings, he's going to set up a kingdom. You don't know who they are? They ain't never paid no attention to the European Union. Oh, that don't concern us. That's overseas. What verse?
13.
Therefore,
my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge.
Why are we going into captivity?
No knowledge.
Because we have no knowledge. Go ahead.
And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
Now, if your honorable men are famished, that's talking about a famine for understanding. You ain't got no knowledge, and therefore the people are dried up with thirst. They don't have no knowledge. Go ahead and read.
Therefore hell has enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure.
See, you don't let some people think, when you think hell, you think Satan in a hole in the ground barbecuing people. Sisters and brothers, I've said it before and I still say it, hell is a state of condition. It's hell when you work all week and you have to decide to pay your rent or buy groceries. It is hell to have to live in your house like a fortress because you know your children are going to break in on you. Or when you go to a gas station, you got to watch out so somebody won't come up and jack your car. That is hell, sisters and brothers. He said, therefore, hell have enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure. Go ahead.
And their glory, and their multitude,
go ahead,
and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it.
Then we're going to go into it. Look at your condition. We're scared of our own children, sisters and brothers. We're scared of everybody. Police stop us, we trembling. Walking up the street, see 2 young brothers walking towards you, you want to go across the street. It's hell. God said, because we have no knowledge, that's why we are in these conditions. That's why everybody run away from it, don't want to live around you. You don't want to live around you. You move out in the suburbs. Yeah, I done got away from it. You forgot the one that you running from is sitting in your living room looking at your TV. Go into Hosea, the 4th chapter. Hosea chapter 4. Maybe somebody acknowledge these transgressions. Maybe the Lord would give us a little sanctuary. He said he would. But you got to do something to earn it. I see the ministers all out and they march and talking about, you know, we gonna take over. We gonna teach our children not to be out here sticking up people and hijacking and shooting one another. How you gonna do that? All you got to do is teaching the word of God. You have to teach them the law. Who would be hijacking you if you taught your child, thou shalt not steal? Who would be murdering one another with drive-by shooting if you taught your children, thou shalt not kill? Nobody won't deal with that. Hosea 4, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Hosea 4 and 1. I'm just putting our pedigree on the table. Let you know that this thing between us and our God, ain't nobody else got nothing to do with it. Just like a baseball bat laying over there on the table. As long as nobody pick it up and hit nobody with it, this bat is harmless. That's what these nations are in the hand of your God. And who's he turning on? You. Verse 1, Hosea 4 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land.
That's the children of Israel that he have a controversy with it. Look what he said. Go ahead and read.
Because there's no truth.
There's no truth.
Nor mercy.
Nor mercy.
Nor knowledge of God in the land.
Nor knowledge of God in the land. We don't have no truth. Therefore, we don't have no mercy. And don't nobody know about God now. Because it says he nailed his commandments to the cross. Go ahead and read.
By swearing and lying.
By swearing and lying.
And killing.
And killing.
And stealing.
And stealing.
And committing adultery.
Don't that sound familiar? And committing adultery, go ahead and read.
They break out. And blood touches blood.
Because when you start committing stealing, killing, and breaking out and committing adultery, somebody gonna die sooner or later. They break out and blood touches blood. All because they can't keep God's commandment. Skip down to verse 5. Verse 5 and read it.
Therefore shalt thou fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother.
So you're going to fall, your prophet going to fall, and he's going to destroy your country. That's your mother, sister, and brother. Somebody else got your country. Go ahead and read.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Said it again, didn't they? My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Go ahead.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge.
I will also reject thee. That thou shalt be no priest to me.
So I'm going to reject thee. So the whole nation now is not a priest no more. God just got certain people from among Israel to be the priests and the teachers now. But it used to be everybody. The women, somebody come up from another nation, you could teach them what thus said the Lord. Your children in the street go to school. Instead of them, they be learning more than adding and subtraction and geometry. They will also be teaching other children about God. Because the whole nation, the Lord have chosen us to be his priests. He said, but because you have rejected knowledge, I'm going to have to reject you from being priest. Go ahead and read.
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children.
Now, seeing that you have forgotten the law of your God, I'm going to forget your children. God have forgotten your children. That's why we're in trouble everywhere we go. Over here, we know what the whites done, but we don't know what the blacks have done. Look at Ethiopia, tried to exterminate the Danites. Nigeria tried to exterminate the Gadites. Who do you think the Tutsis were that the Hutu tried to destroy? Israel. So all of this is happening to us in every nation. Look at the Arabs over there. How they was creating eunuchs by castrating your youngsters, your young men. Everybody, sisters and brothers. The destruction is too perfect for it to come from man. Y'all understand? He know who you are with nobody else. You standing among a bunch of Ethiopians, if you don't open your mouth, they don't know that you ain't Ethiopian, but God's looking right at you.
Yes.
He know that you ain't no Ethiopian. Go ahead and read what verse?
Verse 7.
Let's skip down to verse 16 rather. Let's skip down to verse 16. And go ahead.
For Israel slided back as a backsliding heifer. Now the Lord will feed them as a lamb in a large place.
He said, that's what we done. We slid back as a backsliding heifer. We're the only one that can slide back because God said we're the only one that he gave his word to. I don't blame the other people for not having no understanding. It never got to them. I was supposed to take it to them, and I failed before I got to them with the message. So how can they know if Israel don't teach them? That's why Jesus told that woman at the well. She told me our fathers worship in these mountains. He said, look, and you say in Jerusalem. He said, look, woman, the day gonna come when you ain't gonna worship God here or in Jerusalem. Because and you worship you know not what. Because salvation is of the Jews. You think Jesus don't know where you have to go to get saved? Oh, sisters and brothers. The Lord said, you done forgot his law. What verse?
Verse 17.
Uh-huh.
Ephraim is joined to idols.
Uh-huh.
Let him alone.
So we done joined the idols. Mm-hmm. We church the gun, sun God. We church everything. Get a smart brother. Well, you know, I'm an Egyptologist. You worshiping Ra. You worshiping vultures. You worshiping cobras. It don't sound like you too smart to me. Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone. You can't wake him up. You try and get him, they're going to fight you. Go ahead and read.
Their drink is sour.
Uh-huh.
They have committed whoredom continually.
Go ahead.
Her rulers with shame do love, give ye.
Now, the drink is sour. They have committed whoredom continually, but this is talking about a spiritual whoredom. And the rulers love, give ye. It's talking about these your ministers. They love it so much until they've come up with a ministry that's called a prosperity ministry. Love, sisters and brothers. I never forget, years ago, when I was in my hometown, Pine Bluff, I had preachers running everywhere. I asked one of the young brothers who was a preacher, I said, look, brother, why are there so many preachers here in Pine Bluff? He said, the pay is good. I will never forget that. The pay is good. They love, give me. Now let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 32. Deuteronomy chapter 32, because no matter what the Lord did to this people, he couldn't reach them. The more they prospered, the more they sinned. He couldn't reach them, sisters and brothers. I notice here, even in America, the more freedom we get, the more crime we commit. Like we got this preacher used to be running around talking about down with dope and up with hope. What are they going to hope for? You ain't taught them nothing to hope for.
All right.
It's all that simple. Now, this is a poor epitaph for a preacher. Deuteronomy chapter 32, and we're going to start reading at verse 8. Deuteronomy chapter 32, and we're going to start reading at verse 8. Okay, go ahead.
When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
Did you know that? Lord cared so much for you that he set the bounds of the children of Israel. The number of the nations according to the children of Israel. 12 tribes of Israel. 12 and 12 make up a 24-hour day. 12 months in a year. Even from the time he created light until man is changed into God, it's going to only be 12,000 years, sister and brother. But we don't know that. That's how much he loved his people. Go ahead and read.
For the Lord's portion is his people.
Uh-huh.
Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
See, you're the Lord's portion. You are his inheritance. Go ahead and read.
He found him in a desert land.
Uh-huh.
And in the waste howling wilderness.
Go ahead.
He led him about.
Uh-huh.
He instructed him.
Uh-huh.
He kept him as the apple of his eye.
So he taught him. Kept Israel an apple of his eye. Like I say, throughout the Canaanites for him. Taught him all the time. Go ahead and read.
As an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young.
Go ahead.
Spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, beareth them on her wings. So the Lord alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him.
See, it was the Lord that led Israel. You didn't have none of these strange gods like Dagon and Baal and these sun gods, Mitra, Ra. God was there by himself. He's the one that brought you out of the house of bondage, and nobody else, sisters and brothers. We didn't know about these other gods. Skip down to verse 15 and go ahead.
But Jeshurun waxed fat.
That's still Israel, sisters and brothers. But we waxed fat, go ahead.
And kicked.
And kicked.
Thou art waxen fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness.
Go ahead.
Then he forsook God which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation.
So when the Lord got us all rich and prosperous and everything as a people, we forsook God. We don't need God. Hey, we all kings. Didn't we read we all lords? We don't have to go back to the God. So that's after he calls us to prosper. Go ahead and read.
They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger.
Go ahead.
They sacrificed unto devils, not to God.
Go ahead.
To gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up.
Go ahead.
Whom your fathers feared not.
He said, we come up with gods that our fathers didn't fear, sisters and brothers. And we provoke God to jealousy with all these strange gods. Go ahead and read.
Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten God that formed thee.
Now, we don't remember him no more, and we have forgotten this God that formed us. Go ahead and read.
And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters.
That's another time God said he hated us, didn't he? I mean, we did some ugly stuff. He abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and his daughters. Go ahead and read.
And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be.
I'm going to hide my face. I'm going to see what they're going to do, being that all of them say they gods. Go ahead and read.
For they are very forward generation. Children in whom is no faith.
Forward is foolishness. Children that don't believe in nothing. Go ahead.
They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God.
They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. Go ahead and read.
They have provoked me to anger with their vanities.
Go ahead.
And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
He says, I'm going to move y'all to jealousy, like you did with me, with those that are not a people. In other words, not an individual nation, all people. You're going to be jealous of all things, and then I'm going to move you to anger with a foolish nation. Put your marker here. We're coming back here. God said, because you made me jealous, mister, I'm going to do it to you. Let's go into Romans, the 11th chapter. Keep your marker here. We're coming right back here. Romans chapter 11. Because I just couldn't stand no longer listening to all these Hebrews blaming everybody else for what our forefathers did. I said enough is enough. Romans chapter 11, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Romans chapter 11 and verse 1. Now this is Paul talking to the Gentiles now, because he wanted to let them know something. 11 and 1. Go ahead.
I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid.
Go ahead.
For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
Because they started talking in, God had cast Israel away, especially when he took them down as a nation. And they were still talking about it in Paul's day, and they're still talking about it now. God had cast away the Jews. He said, look, God forbid, I also am an Israelite, the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Don't you know the average person don't know that Paul was an Israelite? He got a little white guy with a little touch of hair in the top of his head. Paul is telling you who he is. Go ahead and read.
God had not cast away his people which he foreknew. What ye not what the scripture saith of Isaiah?
Go ahead.
How he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying?
This is Elijah he's talking about. Have you heard what the scripture, heard what Elijah did, how he make intercession against Israel, saying? Go ahead and read.
Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thine altar.
Go ahead.
And I am left alone, and they seek my life.
And they did that in the days of Ahab with that wicked wife he had, Jezebel. Jezebel was not a streetwalker. She was a priest of Baal, priestess of Baal, a religious woman, killed the prophets of God. Then Elijah killed 400 of her prophets. Right. Then she sent him a letter. Know what them prophets are today? You're going to be there tomorrow. The cat panicked and ran, and the Lord retired him. Because anytime you're going to run from a woman, and you're supposed to be a man of God, it's time for you to retire. But he said, they didn't dig down your altars, they didn't kill your prophets, and I'm the only one that's left. Go ahead and read.
But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal.
That was a lot of men in Elijah's day. And they was talking about in Israel. You understand? He didn't know about that other 7,000. That's right. Go ahead and read.
Even so then, at this present time also, there's a remnant according to the election of grace.
So Paul is telling you still you have a remnant with their spiritual eyes on and know what's going on. Even in this captivity under the Roman rule. Skip down to verse 7. Verse 7 and go ahead.
What then? Israel had not obtained that which he seeketh for.
Go ahead.
But the election has obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
And that's been in every generation. They have somebody in there that knew that we was Israel and knew that we was the priest and understood the word of God. But nobody listening because they was in the minority. And to this day, you still have it. But go ahead and read.
According as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see,
go ahead,
and ears that they should not hear unto this day.
And it's still the same thing. I have really broken scripture down. I mean, made it real simple, sisters and brothers. No, I just don't believe that. I mean, can't see. I tell you something real simple. They're looking at and can't see it. When you have a funeral. That's not Brother Jackson in that coffin. That's just his shell. He have made his homecoming, made his transition. He's in heaven looking down on us. But you're looking at Brother Jackson in that box there. Then, when they get through lying over on Brother Jackson, then they're going to fulfill what God told you in the 3rd chapter of Genesis. He said, dust thou art, until dust you shall return. They get Brother Jackson, take him to the graveyard, and where do they put him?
In the dirt.
You ain't never seen no coffin take wings and go to heaven, have you? They did exactly what the Lord said, but they will not believe their lying eyes. What verse?
Verse 9.
Go ahead and read.
And David said, let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them.
David is saying that about Israel. Go ahead and read.
Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see.
Go ahead.
And bow down their back always.
Now, David, your king, the second king of Israel, said this, sisters and brothers. Why? Because he was ruled over this rebellious people. Not that they couldn't see, they didn't want to see. Go ahead and read.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid.
No, they didn't stumble that they would fall. God made them a promise. And let's see what that promise is. Go ahead and read.
But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
Go ahead.
For to provoke them to jealousy.
To provoke them to what?
Jealousy.
Didn't the Lord tell them that in Deuteronomy?
Yes, he did.
You have made me jealous with gods that are no God, so I'm going to make you jealous with the people that are not a people and make you angry at a foolish nation. You look around you and you angry at everything because they got all these good things and you don't get nothing but scraps off the table. It ain't got nothing to do with them. It's got something to do with you and your God. Yes. You made your God jealous. So God, so I'm going to use other people and make you jealous. Everybody around you come up and excels. Go right on by you.
Yeah.
Look at all these immigrants coming in here now. After a while, you're going to go buying stuff out of their stores. Your children are going to be sweeping their floors.
Yeah.
Who build your houses? Who's selling your cars? Who you buying your groceries and your food from? Think about it. Now let's go back to Deuteronomy. I told you, did we finish that?
Yeah.
Let's go back to Deuteronomy now. Because God said He's going to make you jealous with a people that's not people, and you're going to be angry at foolish nations. And that's what it is nowadays. Back to Deuteronomy 32, and we're going to start at verse 23. Deuteronomy chapter 32, you should have it because I told you to ask you to put your mark there. Verse 23. Okay, go ahead.
I will heap mischiefs upon them.
The nation's going to heap mischief upon you.
Lord is.
It's the Lord keep telling you He's doing this to us. I read the same book that these other Hebrews read. And I'm keep looking at this. You keep condemning other people, but I'm keep looking at this. Look like this is between us and God. I will heap mischief upon them. Go ahead and read.
I will spend mine arrows upon them.
I'm going to spend my arrows upon them. Skip down to verse 26 and read it.
I said, I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. I said I'm going to scatter them in the corners, and I'm going to make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Who remember who you are? Nobody. Nobody know that you are Israel. They don't know that this history in this book is your history. Your memory, the memory of you have ceased from among men. Now you got people over there that call themselves you. And the whole world is buying it. But God, who did this to you according to what you just read? The Lord did. God did. That's why it said in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, of people that call themselves Jews and are not but do lie. People don't know who that is. You don't know who that is because you don't know who you are. Skip down to verse 28. Verse 28 and go ahead. For they are a nation void of counsel. Neither is there any understanding in them. And that's the way it is with us as a people. Go ahead and read. Oh, that they were wise. That they understood this. Go ahead. That they would consider their latter end. He said, oh, that you was wise. If you had read this book and kept God's laws, and you would have known what was going to happen. Even after you didn't sin against God, you know what your end going to be. I know how this thing going to end. Because it is written. Go ahead and read. How should one chase 1,000? And two put 10,000 to flight? Except their rock had sold them and the Lord had shut them up. Look, it's the same thing. You know, you could be a bunch of brothers on the corner. One guy come down there that's not an Israelite. Break this up. They start drifting. Because if you do something wrong, they're going to bring the authority down on you. And even when Israel went to war, handful of enemies was whipping them. How can they do that except your own God have done this to you? Yeah. How can you do this? Best athletes come from among Israel. But how many of us that own the team? Keep reading. What's that, verse 30? That was the end of 30. Huh? Yeah, that was the end of 30. So the Lord said, look, have you ever thought about it? How can this be?
I just wonder, sisters and brothers, how many of you ever thought about, before you start dealing with the Israel of God, have ever asked the question, why is it that I am the only one in this entire hemisphere came here as a slave? Can that be an accident? You never asked that question. Why is it that my old man is Leonard and your old man is Mr. Jones? See, but y'all don't know nothing about that. See, I'm 81 years old. I drank from the colored fountain. I rode on the back of the bus. I sit in the balcony of the movies. I have to ask that question, sisters and brothers. Now I found out my God did this to me. Nobody else. Because I refused to obey him. Let's go into Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. Let's look at how our forefathers upset God. And how many times he said, I'm going to kill him, and then he changed his mind. Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. See, we don't read nothing. And when we hear something that we ain't never heard before, we condemn it and don't have no foundation for condemning. Other people around there, these are the Jews. Yeah, okay. I got up and said, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. You ain't no Hebrew Israelite. What is it that you base your knowledge on? How did you come to that conclusion? Put some evidence on the table that I'm not. But still, this other guy don't even look like Israel. If one that called himself a Jew, you think he can pass for an Egyptian? No. Don't you know that Egypt is Ham's second oldest son, Mizraim? When the Greeks saw him, they said, these people are black. That's what Egypt means. Y'all didn't know that? So this guy said, I'm a Jew, I'm an Israelite, which passed for Pharaoh's grandson. And you're looking at him, and you're looking at Pharaoh, and you haven't put two to two together. Average person don't even know that Egypt is on the African continent. And we're supposed to be educated. But the Lord, sisters and brothers, is letting you know, had it written, so down in the future, we would see why this happened to us, and we stop misbehaving. Because what he will knock you out for today, he will knock you out for the same thing 100 years from now. Because he don't change.
Right.
Ezekiel 20:1. Okay, go ahead.
And it came to pass in the 7th year, in the 5th month, the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of the Lord and sat before me.
Now they came to inquire of the Lord. Now they're going to sit before the prophet Ezekiel. And the Lord weighed in. Go ahead and read.
Then came the word of the Lord unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the elders of Israel, and say unto them,
Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord God.
Go ahead.
Are you come to inquire of me?
Are you come to inquire of me? I'm the one that you said you ain't going to come to me, because you said all of you are lords. Now you come to inquire of me? Go ahead and read.
As I live, saith the Lord God,
go ahead.
I will not be inquired of by you.
I ain't going to come to you because your mind ain't right. He's looking in your head. Go ahead.
Wilt thou judge them, son of man? Wilt thou judge them?
Go ahead.
Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers.
I want you to judge them. Cause them to know the abomination of their fathers. Go ahead and read.
And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God.
Go ahead.
In the day when I chose Israel, and lifted up mine hand unto the seed of the house of Jacob.
Go ahead.
And made myself known unto them in the land of Egypt.
Go ahead.
When I lifted up mine hand unto them, saying, I am the Lord your God.
He said, now, I came to you in Egypt while you was captive. And I let you know that I am the Lord your God, even down in Egypt. Skip down to verse 7 and go ahead.
Then said I unto them, cast ye away every man the abomination of his eyes.
Go ahead.
And defile not yourselves with the idols of Egypt.
Go ahead.
I am the Lord your God.
So now, one of the conditions that I want from you is you to cast away all them pagan gods you got, even them gods that you're worshiping in Egypt. And we still have Egyptologists today among Israel.
Yes.
God told us then, before he brought us out. Did we obey? Go ahead and read.
But they rebelled against me.
But they did what?
Rebelled.
But they rebelled against me. Go ahead and read.
And would not hearken unto me.
They
did not every man cast away the abomination of their eyes.
Go ahead.
Neither did they forsake the idols of Egypt.
Go ahead.
Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them to accomplish mine anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt.
I tell you what, I'm going to deal with them right here in the land of Egypt instead of bringing them out. But then the Lord said his beloved. What did he do? Go ahead and read.
But I brought for my name's sake.
I work for my name's sake, because I done gave these people my name. Go ahead and read.
That it should not be polluted before the heathen among whom they were.
Go ahead.
In whose sight I made myself known unto them.
Go ahead.
In bringing them forth out of the land of Egypt.
So I decided I ain't going to destroy them here in Egypt because they're called by my name. But go ahead and read.
Wherefore I caused them to go forth out of the land of Egypt.
So I brought them out of Egypt. Go ahead.
And brought them into the wilderness. And I gave them my statutes. And showed them my judgment.
Go ahead.
Which if a man do, he shall even live in them.
So now, you know, like I tell people, you don't have to, person run around to me, I serve the Lord, I love Jesus. You don't have to open your mouth. I'll watch you and see what you do. You walk in his laws and his statutes, I know you serve him. Because you say, I gave him my statutes and my judgment. If a man or a woman do, they will walk in them. Mouth service means nothing. Go ahead and read.
Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctified them.
So now, you're supposed to know that you are the people of God when you hold a service on the Sabbath day. Because it's a sign between him and us. Go ahead and read.
But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walked not in my statutes.
Go ahead.
And they despised my judgment.
Go ahead.
Which if a man do, he shall even live in them.
Say it again. Go ahead.
And my Sabbaths they greatly polluted. Then I said, I would pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them.
He said, but they did my Sabbath day. They polluted them. So I decided I'm going to pour out my wrath upon them in the wilderness. In other words, I'm going to kill them here. Go ahead and read.
But I wrought for my name's sake.
But I work for my name's sake. Again, the Lord had a change of mind. Go ahead and read.
That it should not be polluted before the heathen, in whose sight I brought them out.
So I gave them a little more space. Go ahead and read.
Yet also I lifted up my hand unto them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I gave them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands.
So they act so bad in the wilderness then I said, well, look, I ain't going to take these people to the promised land. I ain't going to take them. I'm going to kill them right here. But what happened? What verse?
Verse 16. Because they despised my judgment.
Go ahead.
And walked not in my statutes.
Go ahead.
But polluted my Sabbaths. For their heart went after their idols.
So nothing happened. No matter how good I was to them, they still polluting everything that I have given them. Go ahead and read.
Nevertheless, mine eye spared them from destroying them. Neither did I make an end of them in the wilderness.
He said, nevertheless, I decided I ain't going to kill them all. But what people don't understand, that when the people left the land of Egypt, the only ones that got into the promised land was those that was 19 years and younger, except for Joshua and Caleb. Even Moses died in the wilderness because the Lord said, look, I ain't going to take these people in the wilderness. They're out there complaining, well, you know, you brought us out here, Moses, and the Lord done brought us out here. Now we going to die and our children are going to die. He said, I ain't taking y'all in there. But He changed his mind and didn't kill them all. Go ahead and read. What verse?
Verse 18.
Uh-huh.
But I said unto their children in the wilderness, walk ye not in the statutes of your fathers, neither observe their judgments, nor defile yourselves with their idols.
So he told the children, don't do like your fathers. Get rid of these pagan gods. Start worshiping paganism. But what happened with the children? Let's see if they behave. Skip down to verse 21 and go ahead.
Notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me.
Isn't that something? I mean, God kept saying, I'm going to kill these people, but then he'd come up with an excuse not to kill them. So I tell you what, I'm going to kill all of y'all from 20 years and older. Everybody from 20 years and older died in the wilderness except for Joshua and Caleb. They did not get to the promised land. But he said, I'm going to make a covenant with the children. And what did the children do?
They rebelled.
They rebelled. Go ahead and read.
They walked not in my statutes, neither kept my judgments to do them. Which if a man do, he shall even live in them. They polluted my Sabbaths. Then I said, I would pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the wilderness.
Then he said, okay, then I'm going to deal with y'all in the wilderness. The children. Yeah. But somewhere he changed his mind. What verse?
Verse 22.
Go ahead.
Nevertheless, I withdrew mine hand and wrought for my name's sake, that it should not be polluted in the sight of the heathen, in whose sight I brought them forth.
Because they called by my name, I'm going to set them a little forth. I ain't going to kill them now. Go ahead and read.
I lifted up mine hand unto them also in the wilderness, that I would scatter them among the heathen.
Go ahead.
And disperse them through the countries, because they had not executed my judgments.
Go ahead.
But had despised my statutes and had polluted my Sabbaths, and their eyes were after their fathers' idols.
You notice ain't no other people involved here?
No.
It's just God and Israel, sisters and brothers. That's why I want my brothers nowadays running around on the corner insulting people. You need to read some of this. Nobody's done nothing to you. Your God is what did it to you. Keep reading.
That was the end of 24.
Skip down to verse 30. Skip down to verse 30 and go ahead.
Wherefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord God.
Go ahead.
Are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers? And commit ye whoredoms after their abominations?
He said unto the children that he brought in, are you polluted like your father? You remember all them fathers that died in the wilderness? Are you like them? Go ahead and read.
For when ye offer your gifts, when ye make your sons to pass through the fire, ye pollute yourselves with all your idols, even unto this day. And shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, saith the Lord God, I will not be inquired of by you.
So that's what the Lord told him. Tell these elders that come before you, Ezekiel, will y'all inquire of me? I'm going to run your pedigree. I'm going to show you how many times you push me to destroy you. And for my name's sake, I withdraw my hand. Over and over, I'm going to destroy them, but for my name's sake. Yeah. I'm going to destroy them in Egypt. I ain't going to bring them out, but I changed my mind. Then I brought them out of Egypt. I'm going to destroy them. I'll tell you what, I changed my mind. I'm going to take your children into the land. And then when the children came, they polluted him. He said, so now, will you sit here and inquire of me, O elders of Israel? That's what it started at.
Yeah.
He said, I will not be inquired of you. Did you finish that verse?
Yeah.
He said, ain't going to be required. You know, the same thing. If you're going to keep breaking God's law, why you get on your knees at evening? You're going to steal, kill, commit adultery. You're going to lie on people. You're going to go out and fornicate. It got so bad until you have people that are homosexual praying to God. Why are you praying? And God said, this is an abominable act. Oh, brother, you're going to get in trouble. Yeah, if I don't preach it. Right. God is the God of law, sister and brother. But I'm just telling you how it is with Israel. And a lot of that went on in Israel. They used to build the houses close to the temple. Let's go on to Jeremiah 15. Because the Lord said, I have tried everything I can to save y'all. And you keep running off the cliff. That's what we're doing, sister and brother. And like I said in Isaiah, hell have enlarged itself without numbers. We are our Father's children. Jeremiah 15, I said Jeremiah, right? Mm-hmm. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Jeremiah 15 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
Then said the Lord unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth.
Isn't that something? Though Moses and Elijah, these are two righteous men come out of Israel. Still, I got to get these people away from me. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth?
Where shall we go and when? Go ahead.
Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, such as are for death, to death.
Such as are for death, go ahead.
And such as are for the sword, to the sword.
To the sword, go ahead.
And such as are for the famine, to the famine.
All these things have befallen us as a people, sisters and brothers. Go ahead.
And such as are for the captivity, to the captivity.
There you are. There you are. Because the Lord repented and repented and repented. Go ahead and read.
And I will appoint over them 4 kinds, saith the Lord, the sword to slay, and the dogs to tear, and the fowls of the heaven,
go ahead,
and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy.
Look like he ain't pointing nothing over us for our welfare, right? Only conditions of destruction. Go ahead and read.
And I will cause them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
Tell me where you are not. Everywhere. You go there, you're going to find Israel. Even though Putin did this big thing and opened up the vaults and showed everybody that the Israelites was black, but he got them so much under the thumb that you didn't even know there was blacks in Russia, did you? So he said, I'm going to have you scattered into all the nations, removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Go ahead.
Because of Manasseh, the son of Hezekiah, king of Judah.
Go ahead.
For that which he did in Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest?
That's a question. Who going to have pity on you? Who going to mourn for what happened to you? Who going to turn aside and ask you as a people, how y'all doing? Don't nobody care. Because your God made it that way. Because you rebelled against him. Go ahead and read.
Thou hast forsaken me, saith the Lord. Thou art gone backwards.
Thou hast forsaken me, thou art gone backwards. Go ahead.
Therefore will I stretch out my hand against thee.
Therefore will I stretch out my hand against thee. Go ahead.
And destroy thee. For I am weary with repentance.
Because I'm tired of repenting. How many times I got upset because of what you did, and I said, I'm going to destroy them, and I changed my mind.
Yeah.
Then you do something else, I'm going to destroy them, and I changed my mind. Something else, I'm going to destroy, and I changed my mind. He said, now I'm tired of that. I'm tired of repenting. So what I'm gonna, and who was all of this that would have done this? The one, Jesus, sister and brother, before he became Jesus. Bible tell you, we ain't never dealt with the Father, seen him at any time or heard his voice. It was Jesus. So look what Jesus said. Let's go into Luke, the 13th chapter. Luke chapter 13. Brother told me, brother, I don't believe in none of that. I said, that's your problem.
Yes, it is.
I remember in Washington Park, brother tell me, brother, what if all of this stuff, there ain't no resurrection and no lake of fire and no kingdom for you to go in? I said, what if it is? If it ain't none of that, no lake of fire, no kingdom, nothing, I die, and that's the end of it. But if it is, I wake up and I get to burn forever. I'm going to place my bet on it is.
That's right, because it is.
You understand? I'd rather buy a boat ticket and a bus ticket and a boat ticket just in case I run into a body of water. Yes. Luke 13. We're going to start at verse 34. And listen what Jesus said. You know, when I read, first time I read this, you know, I had to come fully into the understanding. I said, how can he say that? Being that he just was born and just been on this earth for 33 years. How can he make this claim? This is a big claim here. 34. Go ahead and read it.
O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killeth the prophets, and stonest them that are sent unto thee.
Go ahead.
How often would I have gathered thy children?
How often would the Father have gathered?
How often would I?
How often would I have gathered? Go ahead and read.
Thy children together. As a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and ye would not.
Just remember, when he came in the flesh, he only lived for 33 years. How many times he had to gather Israel? He was talking about the time when he was under his own name, Jehovah. We read about all them times that he tried. Didn't he say that Israel has made me keeper of other vineyards while my own vineyard is gone unkept?
Yes.
How often would I have done this? Go ahead and read.
Behold, your house is left unto you desolate.
Your house is left unto you destroyed. Go ahead and read.
And verily I say unto you, ye shall not see me until the time come when ye shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord.
And that time ain't here yet. However, he said, behold, your house is left to you desolate. We see the son of Ishmael and the sons of Esau destroying one another over your house right now.
Yeah.
Jerusalem and Samaria are the West Bank of Palestine. That is your house. Why? Because the Lord said, hey, your house is left to you destroyed. Somebody else got your house. Why? Because you would not pay attention. Everything I did with you, you messed it up. Let's go into Amos, the 2nd chapter. So next time one of our brothers come trying to blame everybody with a white man, this and look here, brother, what happened to us ain't had nothing to do with white man. Had nothing to do with black men or no other men. It has something to do with us, the way we behave with our God, sisters and brothers. I said, don't even break that. The Lord tell you to acknowledge the sins of your fathers and your sin. And maybe I'll give you some breathing room. Amos, chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 4. Amos 2 and 4. Because when I look and see all this foolishness spoken of by a Hebrew Israelite, that's a smite in our face, and that's a smite in the face of the Lord. Because he just wants you to acknowledge him. We won't do it. And we see it was Jesus that said, how often would he have gathered us? Yes. Like a mother hen gather her brood, but we would not be gathered. Jesus said, I would have gathered you. He didn't say the Father.
Yes. Just
like they kicked against him then, they kicking against him now. Y'all understand? Amos 2, let's start reading at verse 4. 2 and 4. Okay, go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Judah, and for 4, I would not turn away the punishment thereof.
For 3 transgressions of Judah, and for 4, I would not return the punishment thereof. We talking Israel here. Go ahead and read.
Because they have despised the law of the Lord.
Because they have despised the law of the Lord.
And have not kept his commandments. And their lies caused them to err. After the which their fathers have walked.
You done walk the same way as your father, even though I let you live. Go ahead and read.
But I will send a fire upon Judah, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Israel, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof.
And I ain't going to turn away the punishment from Israel. I destroyed Judah, the southern kingdom, and the northern kingdom because of their transgression. I ain't going to change my mind. Why? Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9 and go ahead.
Want me to finish 6?
Finish it. Was it 6?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because they sold the righteous for silver and the poor for a pair of shoes.
Who did they say? We did that. You mean we sold some people? You bet your last money. And God didn't like it. Go ahead. And they sold the righteous for silver and the poor for just a pair of shoes? Yet, look what I did for you. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9. And go ahead.
Yet destroyed I the Amorite before them, whose height was the height of the cedars. And he was strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above and his roots from beneath.
Those are the first people that Israel knocked off when they were going to the promised land. On the east side of the Jordan River. The first people, the Amorites. That's when Moses was still. Joshua hadn't taken over yet. But I destroyed these people. They were so big until you, some of the guys that sent out to spy the land come back lying. Said, look, we just like ants in their eyes. But go ahead.
Also I brought you up from the land of Egypt and led you 40 years through the wilderness to possess the land of the Amorites.
And he did that. Go ahead.
And I raised up of your sons for prophets.
Yeah, of your sons. I ain't no other prophet in this Bible but Israelites. Not one. Every prophet in there is an Israelite. Every apostle is an Israelite. That's why people come to me telling me, you ain't no Christian. I say, I am the original Christian. What do you think the 12 apostles was? I raised up your son for prophets. Go ahead.
And of your young men for Nazarites.
And your young men for Nazarites. Go ahead and read.
Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel?
Go ahead. But what
saith
did
the
you
Lord?
do? Is it not thus, O children of Israel, said the Lord? So what did they do? Go ahead.
But ye gave the Nazarites wine to drink.
Don't you know that when you take the vow of a Nazarite, you ain't supposed to drink nothing off the vine? What Israel did, you're a Nazarite, huh? Then you talk them into drinking wine. That's show you how wicked we have been, sisters and brothers. And what do we do with the prophets? Go ahead and read.
And commanded the prophets, saying, prophesy not.
And you command the prophet, get out of my face, man. I don't want to hear that. And they still saying it to you. That's why I tell brothers that come in, well, you know, I want to take the vow of Nazarite. For what reason? If you take the vow of Nazarite, then you can't keep the Passover because you can't drink wine. Well, I drank grapefruit. The book said wine. I drank water. The book said wine. So you're going to take a vow and something that you don't understand, so you can't keep something that God told you to keep.
Yeah.
That's a commandment. Think about it. So look what the Lord said to this people. Skip now, let's go into the 3rd chapter. Hosea, the 3rd chapter. Amos, the 3rd chapter. And maybe you might understand like why some of the stuff happened to you and everybody else get away with it. You're going to find out right now. 3 and 1. Amos 3 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying,
go ahead.
You only have I known of all the families of the earth.
Now, God said that, didn't he?
Yes.
People want to argue, well, you know, you saying we don't know God. I'm saying what the book said. You only have I known out of all the families of the earth. Go ahead.
Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
Therefore, I'm going to punish you for all of your iniquities. I ain't going to let you get away with nothing. This guy, when he do something, they slap him on the hand and give him a misdemeanor. You do something, they send you to jail, give you a felony. Now, when you get out, you can't get no job. He said, I'm going to punish you for all of your iniquities. So if you're thinking about going out and doing something stupid, remember what your God said.
He's going to get you.
You ain't getting away with nothing. Nothing at all. Let's go into Hosea, the 9th chapter. Back right up to Hosea chapter 9. So I put this together, sister and brother, because I got tired of hearing my Hebrew brothers belly aching about what somebody's doing to us and what didn't happen to us. Even coming over here talking about the transatlantic slave trade. God told you that in the wilderness, that he was going to scatter you, and he's going to take you in the house of bondage, Egypt, the house of bondage again by ships. And when you get there, you're going to be sold as male and female slave. He told you that before you got to the promised land.
Yes.
Then he had it written down so you can read it down through the generation. Why are you belly aching? God said it was going to happen. Who's going to stop it?
Nobody.
Got this guy, John Brown. He saw these slaves. He knew who we was because he was a preacher. So he's going to try to save us. He even had a place called New Jerusalem. They killed him and his whole family. Why, Brother Boo? He was trying to help. No, what he was trying to do is get in the way of the prophecy of God. So the Lord dealt with him. This ain't none of your business. Hosea 9 and verse 1, then we're going to skip. 9 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
Rejoice not, O Israel, for joy as other people, for thou hast gone a whoring from thy God. Thou hast loved a reward upon every corn floor.
He said, I don't want you to rejoice like other people, because you done turn away from your God. And your whole thing is about prosperity. Skip down to verse 9, verse 7, and go ahead.
The days of visitation are come. The days of recompense are come.
That's the days of repayment, because you're going to get everything you got coming. Go ahead and read.
Israel shall know it. The prophet is a fool.
Guess what he is? Go ahead.
The spiritual man is mad. For the multitude of thine iniquity and the great hatred.
Go ahead.
The watchman of Ephraim was with my God, but the prophet is a snare of a fowler in all his ways, and hatred in the house of his God.
And that's what's going on. Got all these foolish prophets running around. They ain't call them prophets now. They call them ministers, preachers, rabbi, and all these kind of names. But you listen to what they're saying. And they teach hatred in the house of God, not love. Go ahead and read, because love is the fulfillment of the law. Go ahead and read.
They have deeply corrupted themselves, as in the days of Gibeah. Therefore he will remember their iniquity. He will visit their sin.
So who corrupted us? We did. God said, okay, so I'm going to remember that in the days that I visit you. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15 and go ahead.
All their wickedness is in Gilgal. For there I hated them.
There's another time God said he hated Israel. Now can't you see why we are where we are? Go ahead and read.
For the wickedness of their doings, I will drive them out of mine house.
Go ahead.
I will love them no more.
Go ahead.
All their princes are revolters.
Boy, what about this unconditional love that God has? That don't look like it to me. Go ahead and read.
Ephraim is smitten. Their root is dried up.
Go ahead.
They shall bear no fruit. Yea, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb.
Who are the fruit of your womb? Your children. Cause of your business, I'm going to kill your children. Who is dying in the streets?
Our children.
Just about every week you see some young Hebrew that got shot by another Hebrew. Go ahead.
My God will cast them away, because they did not hearken unto him. And they shall be wanderers among the nations.
That's what you are. Wanderers among the nations. You go there, you don't really own nothing. Even the house that you buy, it's not really yours. Oh, brother, it is. Don't pay your property tax and see what happened to you. They'll come in and take it from you.
Yes.
Because the Lord told you this, because he tried. Let's go into Isaiah chapter 42. The Lord tried to deal with this people. And we won't listen. And we still having the same thing. We're still serving other people God. Even when the people let you know they serve God. Tomorrow, we're going to be we're going to fill up all them churches tomorrow on Sunday. Nobody have ever asked the question, why is it called S-U-N Day? That's because it is the day of the sun worshiper. Christmas. That is the winter solstice. Sun worshipers.
Yeah.
Y'all understand? You see all the saints they have with that little halo around their head? The sun.
Yeah.
And you rolling with it. Because you have no knowledge. And the Lord said, because if people don't have no knowledge, what happened to them? They're going into captivity. They have been destroyed. The people that he chose.
Yes.
To represent him. Isaiah 42, we're going to start reading at verse 18. Isaiah 42 and 18. Yes, I put this together years ago by the grace of God to shut some of these Hebrews down and stop running around talking about what somebody done did to us. I'm showing you right now who did it to you. Verse 18, go ahead.
Hear ye deaf, and look ye blind, that ye may see.
Go ahead.
Who is blind but my servant? Or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect?
Who? Go ahead.
And blind as the Lord's servant.
We are the ones that the Lord chose. We are the ones that the Lord sent to teach other people. And we are blind. We don't recognize nothing. Go ahead and read.
Seen many things, but thou observest not.
Because you don't read. Like looking at the European Union over there. You don't know that those are the 10 toes that Jesus is going to take out at his coming. That he said in the days of these kings, the God of heaven is going to set up a kingdom. You don't know nothing about that. Go ahead and read.
Opening the ears, but he heareth not.
All you hear is noise, sisters and brothers. Look what he said about you. Skip down to verse 22. Verse 22 and go ahead.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
This is a people robbed and spoiled.
They are all of them snared in holes.
They're snared in holes.
And they are hid in prison houses.
Go to the local penal institution, prison, see who the majority is in there. They're hid in prison houses. Go ahead and read.
They are for a prey, and none delivereth.
Go ahead.
For a spoil, and none saith restore.
So you're somebody to prey on, to take advantage of. People will spoil you, and ain't nobody going to tell them, don't do that. Give it back to them. Go ahead and read.
Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come?
So here in the future, we'll look and read this and say, wait a minute, this is happening to us. Who? Go ahead and read.
Who gave Jacob for a spoil?
Good question. Who gave Jacob for a spoil? We're going to find out who. Go ahead and read.
And Israel to the robbers.
Go ahead.
Did not the Lord?
Go ahead.
He against whom we have sinned?
That's the one that did it. Go ahead and read.
For they would not walk in his ways. Neither were they obedient unto his law.
Go ahead.
Therefore he had poured upon him the fury of his anger.
Go ahead.
And the strength of battle.
Go ahead.
And it had set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not. And it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart.
Nobody asked the question, why is all this happening to us as a people? Like I said earlier, why am I the only one in this hemisphere that was brought here as a slave? Why? Because your God did it. Yeah. He set you on fire all about. We're doing Black history. We show you the Ethiopians tried to exterminate you. Egyptians tried to exterminate you. Nigerians, the Hamites tried to exterminate you. But brother, they are my black brothers. No, you ain't. You are Semitic and they are Hamitic. And they will tell you in a minute, I ain't your brother.
Yeah.
So no matter what country or what color of people of the country that you find yourself in, you are going to find yourself on the big end of the bat. Let's go into Ezekiel, the 6th chapter. Back up to Ezekiel, the 6th chapter. I'm just saying, sisters and brothers, I am doing this so you won't let these Hebrews out there on the street corners pump your head up and have you walking around with a proud look and your mouth all twisted up like you somebody. Instead of being shamed, look where you've fallen from.
Yeah.
Now look at them. Ezekiel 6. We're going to start reading at verse 1. Ezekiel 6 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying,
Go ahead.
Son of man, set thy face toward the mountains of Israel.
Go ahead.
And prophesy against them.
Go ahead.
And say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord God.
Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord God to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys. Behold, I, even I, will bring a sword upon you, and I will destroy your high places.
This is the governments here. You understand? I want you to say that. I'm going to do it. I, even I, not somebody else. I, even I, will bring a sword against you and destroy your high places. Go ahead and skip down to verse 7 now. Verse 7 and go ahead.
And the slain shall fall in the midst of you, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Go ahead.
Yet will I leave a remnant, that ye may have some that shall escape the sword among the nations, when ye shall be scattered through the countries.
Now he said, but still I'm going to leave some of you. I ain't going to destroy every one of you. Some of you are going to escape that's scattered among the nations. Because I got to have somebody to bring back. Go ahead and read.
And they that escape of you shall remember me among the nations, whither they shall be carried captives.
Go ahead.
Because I am broken with their whorish heart, which have departed from me, and with their eyes which go whoring after their idols.
Go ahead.
And they shall loathe themselves for the evils which they have committed in all their abominations.
So when the Lord opens his people's eyes, they're not going to hate the whites or the Hamites no more. They're going to hate themselves. Because this didn't have to happen. All I had to do was obey the laws of my God. That's why I said, we don't have room to hate nobody else. This is the work of our own hand. Go ahead and read.
And they shall know that I am the Lord, and that I have not said in vain that I would do this evil unto them.
That's why I know we're Israel. Because the Lord said he was going to do this to us. He had it written down. Now I know that all them things that God said he was going to do to us was not loose talk. He did it all.
Yes.
Down to hiding you away in prison houses. He did it all. Being sold as male and female slave. He did it all. Man and wife and somebody else going to lay with her, the master, he did it all to us. It's all written. I mean, everything that ever happened to us in this country and in the other countries is written. And now those of us that have come to some understanding, we know that God did not say that in vain. It is the Lord, sisters and brothers. Let's go into Hosea, the 5th chapter. Hosea chapter 5. Because people ain't paying no attention, and you're out on the street corners insulting people. Like I said, running around in costume. Naming yourself captain and general and all that kind of stuff. Boy, you don't understand. Hosea chapter 5. Like some of the brothers, we want to go out and evangelize. We're going to put on some shirt with the Israel of God that says, if you do, don't come back here. It is not the clothing of the body that makes a difference. It's the clothing of the head.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want to look different from nobody. I want to look like everybody else. Therefore, they're going to listen to everything I got to say.
Yeah.
The hawk can't come in and be and land in a flock of sparrows, and the sparrows are going to be comfortable. Because they're going to think, when is he going to start eating? You see me all the time during the week, like some of the people here. Blue jeans with a shirt hanging on the outside. That's the way you dress, brother boy. Hey, how am I supposed to dress? Like this every day? This is not comfortable. I can't wait to get home to peel this stuff off.
I hear you.
You got a woman, police officer out here, she called me incognito. Whatever that's supposed to mean. Hosea 5, let's start at verse 5. Hosea 5 and 5. Okay, go ahead.
And the pride of Israel doth testify to his face.
That's what I mean, the pride of Israel. What you proud of? I'm looking at a brother on YouTube. See, yes, we wear our friends, you see, when the people see us, they know who we are. They don't know who you are. They just look like a brother with some clothes with a strigglers hanging off of it. Go ahead.
Therefore shall Israel and Ephraim fall in their iniquity. Judah also shall fall with them.
Go ahead.
They shall go with their flocks and with their herds to seek the Lord.
Go ahead.
But they shall not find him.
Because the Lord, go ahead.
He had withdrawn himself from them.
Now the Lord done pull up from Israel now. Go ahead and read.
They have dealt treacherously against the Lord. For they have begotten strange children. Now shall a month devour them with their portions.
Go ahead.
Blow ye the cornet in Gibeah, and the trumpet in Ramah.
Go ahead.
Cry aloud at Bethaven. After thee, O Benjamin.
Go ahead.
Ephraim shall be desolate in the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel have I made known that which shall surely be.
Now this Ephraim is still Israel. I done made known what I'm going to do to you. Go ahead and read.
The princes of Judah were like them that removed the bond, the bond. Therefore I will pour out my wrath upon them like water.
In other words, the princes of Judah, they like robbing people, taking something that don't belong to them. I'm going to deal with them, and he have. Go ahead and read. Skip down to verse 14, brother. Verse 14 and continue.
For I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah.
Go ahead.
I, even I, will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall rescue him.
So who is destroying you?
The Lord.
Your God. He said, even I. I want you to make sure who it is that you know who is doing you in, Israel. And why? Go ahead and read.
I will go and return to my place.
I'm going on back to heaven. Go ahead and read.
Till they acknowledge their offense.
Until they acknowledge their offense. Go ahead.
And seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early.
Look, every time you get in trouble, stuff come down on you, you're on your knees, ain't you? Yeah. Only in trouble. You ain't got no trouble thing going good, you don't think about God. Then when drama fall on you, you're going to wear your carpet out and your kneecaps. Only when you in trouble. Let's go into Isaiah chapter 40. Isaiah 40. I'm going in fast forward now because I'm getting tired. You know, old guy. You know, I used to do this twice a day.
Yeah.
At their old place. Because we didn't have enough room. So, hey, if I had to do it twice a day, I had to do it. I don't think I can do it again. But if I had to, I'd give it another shot.
Lord,
Isaiah 40. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Isaiah 40 and 1. I just wanted to put this brother's pedigree in front of it. Let him know, look here, mister. Stop being so hatred toward other people. Stop being accusing other people and calling people out. Because ain't nobody done anything to you. Your God did this to you. If the Lord, you know, do you ever get mad at the tornado when he come and rip your house down? God controls that too, don't he?
Yes, he does.
40 and 1. 40 and 1. Go ahead.
Comfort ye, my people, saith your God.
Go ahead.
Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned.
He said, I want you to comfort Jerusalem now. This is after when he didn't bring it to an end. He said, your warfare is finished, your iniquity is pardoned. Go ahead.
For she hath received of the Lord's hand double for all her sins.
So the Lord will whip you double for all that you've done against him. But he said your warfare is coming to an end now. Go ahead and read.
The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness. Prepare ye the way of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Make straight in the desert a highway for our God.
Because he's getting ready to come. He is getting ready to come. Skip down to verse 5 and read it.
And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. For the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it.
Didn't it say in Revelation, the first chapter, say, he going to come and every eye going to see him? When the Lord comes, that's what's going to happen. But this is your God, the one that you have offended. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9 and go ahead.
O Zion, that bringest good tidings, get thee up into the high mountain.
Go ahead.
O Jerusalem, that bringest good tidings.
Go ahead.
Lift up thy voice with strength.
Go ahead.
Lift it up. Be not afraid. Say unto the cities of Judah, behold your God.
Now, because he's going to be back. Go ahead.
Behold, the Lord God will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him.
Go ahead.
Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him.
That means ain't nobody going to get raised from the dead or nothing until he comes. His reward is going with him and his work before him. That's when he comes, sisters and brothers. Let's go into Revelation, the 22nd chapter. Revelation chapter 22. Revelation chapter 22. So if you thinking that you're going to get some break now, you can forget it. Run around telling me we want reparation. You ain't getting nothing. Revelation 22, and we're going to read verse 10, 22 and 10. Okay, go ahead.
And he saith unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book.
Go ahead.
For the time is at hand.
And it is. I mean, closer than you think. Skip down to verse 12 and go ahead.
And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me.
Go ahead.
To give every man according as his work shall be.
Isn't that what we just got through reading in Isaiah? I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give everyone according to his works. People tell you ain't got to do no works. If you ain't getting no work, then you don't get paid on your regular job, right?
That's right.
But with God, if you don't do no work, you get paid big time, like a fire. But he said, I come, and my reward is with me. So, sisters and brothers, when Israel punishment is over, then the Lord's going to take down the nations. And that'll be between them and God.
Yes.
Not you. And let's go into Zechariah, the first chapter. Because the Lord, when he comes, he's going to deal with them because they have crossed the line. Zechariah chapter 1. That's why I don't have nothing against nobody. I ain't on nobody's side. I don't promote the killing of the people that's going on in the Middle East, but neither do I cry for them. You understand? And it ain't got nothing to do with hatred, like or dislike. Just like I told a brother one time, he told me, man, you know, this is his time in the Holocaust. Don't you cry? I have no tears. I said, I cried them all for the people that was brought over on the boats. I cried for the thousands of people that were thrown overboard after the abolition of slavery. So many that the sharks was following the ships. By the time I get through crying for my people, I ain't got no water left. That don't mean I'm against you or dislike you. That means that I'm caught up in my own grief. See a guy get his finger cut off, and you just had your hand cut off. You ain't got time to grieve over the finger. You're looking at your hand.
That's right.
But I ain't going to go out and hate nobody. If I can help, I will. Zechariah 1 and verse 12. 1 and 12. Okay, go ahead.
Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts, How long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 70 years?
These 70 years, but those 70 years turn into 70 weeks, okay? So that's the 70 weeks is when the Lord going to bring an end to this. But he said, how long? Go ahead and read.
And the Lord answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words.
Go ahead.
So the angel that communed with me said unto me,
go ahead.
Cry thou saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts.
Go ahead.
I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy.
He said, I'm jealous for Jerusalem. And with ground for a great jealousy. He's still telling this people, go ahead and read.
And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease.
And I'm very displeased with the nations. That's what the heathen is. But every time I say nation, the sister always contact me. Heathen mean non-believer. I said, you've been watching too much Red Fox. Heathen mean the nations. I'm very sore displeased with the heathen, the nations, which is nations, that are at ease. But pay attention to what the Lord said here. Go ahead and read.
For I was but a little displeased.
But I was but a little displeased. Go ahead.
And they helped forward the affliction.
And they helped forward the affliction. I told you to slap him, but you knocked him down and you stumped him. You was overzealous in punishing him. I told you to punish him a little bit, but you decide you're going to beat him into a bloody pulp. Because of that, now you owe me something. You understand? You have further the affliction. Let's go into Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. Jeremiah 50. I'm just letting the nations know, now God done did his thing on us. Mm-hmm. Now, just like he said he's going to do his thing, and he did what he said to us, and he brought it to pass, he's going to do his thing on y'all too. But then that's between y'all, you and God. Ain't got nothing to do with it. Ain't going to be running out and trying to get me a lick in on you. Because the truck that's going to run over you going to run over me because I'm out there in the way trying to hit you. I'm leaving it alone. Jeremiah 50 and verse 1. Jeremiah 50 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
The words that the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet.
Now, they ain't talking about Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon or Shun. This is talking about Babylon the Great. The one that's still under the name of a European Union. The one that's talked about in Revelation. This is the Babylon to come. Go ahead and read.
Declare ye among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not.
Go ahead.
Say Babylon is taken.
Go ahead.
Baal is confounded.
Go ahead.
Merodach is broken in pieces.
See, now that didn't happen to Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar, the Medes and the Persians took over Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon, took it over from his son. When his son did something foolish and threw the party and drank out of the cups and stuff out of the temple of God. Lord sent a finger over there and wrote in the plaster of the wall, so you've been found, put weight in the balance, you've been found wanted. Therefore, your kingdom is taken from you and given to the Medes and the Persians. So the Lord had him killed that night, assassinated, and Darius the Median took over, which is Darius the Russians took over. But this Babylon, the Lord's going to bring down. Skip down to verse 4 and go ahead.
In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the children of Israel shall come. They and the children of Judah together.
Go ahead.
Going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Lord their God.
And that's what's going to harm the children of Israel and the children of Judah. You ain't going to be talking about the Jews now. You're going to be talking Israel. Judah, the southern kingdom, and Israel, the northern kingdom, which maintain the national name, they're going to all come seeking together, asking the way of Jerusalem. That's during the time when the Lord comes. Go ahead and read.
They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward.
They're going to ask. Go ahead and read.
Saying, come and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten.
Because they're going to remember that whipping that we had all these years. Go ahead and read.
My people have been lost sheep.
My people have been lost sheep.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Who caused you to go astray?
Shepherds.
Your shepherds, didn't they? Didn't he say the pastors have spoiled my vineyard? Go ahead and read.
They have turned them away on the mountain. They have gone from mountain to hill.
Go ahead.
They have forgotten their resting place.
We don't know where our resting place is. Ask the average sister or brother, you know, where you from? Oh, I'm from Mississippi. I'm talking about before you got to Mississippi. Oh, I'm from Africa. What part of Africa? Like I hear all the time, when I see you're African American. I have never seen a Frenchman say, I'm a European, what's that? I'm a European American. He said, I'm a Frenchman. The German said, I'm a German. The Italian said, I'm an Italian American. I'm a Russian American. Ask you, I'm an African American. What part do you come? Egypt is Africa. Were you from Egypt? Were you from Ethiopia? Were you from Libya? You don't know, because you are not from there. You didn't come out of Africa. You came through Africa. Therefore, you have forgotten your resting place. Go ahead and read.
All that found them have devoured them.
Listen to that. All that found you have devoured you. I don't care what the color they was. All of them devoured you. Go ahead and read.
And their adversaries said, we offend not.
Why?
Because they have sinned against the Lord.
They feel comfortable doing you in. Because they know that you offended the Lord. They ain't telling you what they know. But they say, hey, we don't feel like we're doing that wrong because we're justified, because they offended against their God. Go ahead and read.
The habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their father.
Go ahead.
Remove out of the midst of Babylon and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans and be as the he-goats before the flock.
So the Lord is telling you that now. First thing you have to remove out of the midst of Babylon is in your mind. Find out what the truth is. Because today it's going to be a physical removal. And people don't even believe that no more. Go ahead and read.
For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country.
Go ahead.
And they shall set themselves in array against her.
Go ahead.
From this she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man.
Now this is the Babylon the Great. He's going to raise up people from the east and the north. Who is for the east? No matter however far east you go, you're in Russia. Yeah. No matter how north you go, you're still in Russia, in northeast country, and all her allies. The Lord said, I'm going to bring all these nations against Babylon. Who will be Babylon? The one that you call Western Europe, controlled by the European Union. Skip down to verse 16 and go ahead.
Cut off the sword from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest.
Go ahead.
For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land.
So when this stuff happens, everybody going to turn to their own people, and everybody going to come to their own land. I want to ask you, where you going to go? What verse is that?
Verse 17.
Go ahead.
Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria had devoured him.
They took out the north tribes, 700 BC. Go ahead and read.
And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had broken his bones.
They took out the southern kingdom, 600 BC. And we have been captive from that time to this one. We have been passed on from ruler to ruler to ruler. We have never gotten back in the land. A handful got back under Ezra and Nehemiah because they had to build a temple and have somewhere for Jesus to come. Soon as that happened, another 30, 40 years later, boom, tore it down and scattered the rest of the people that was left.
Yes.
The Lord have written all of this down. I mean all of it. What verse are we now?
Verse 18.
Go ahead.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria.
Now let's go and show you who this Babylon is that he's going to punish. Let's go into Revelation, the 18th chapter, and we got one more place after this. Revelation chapter 18. Revelation 18, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Revelation 18 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory.
Go ahead.
And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen.
Now this is the Babylon here that's called Babylon the Great. That's the European Union that's ruling over Western Europe now. They ain't ruling it all together, but they will be. In fact, we got information to show you that the nations are letting them rule them. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and read.
Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
So the Lord's going to take them down. Skip down to verse 4 and read it.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
Don't you know the Lord is going to give us an opportunity to get out of here? Mm-hmm. I hope you're not too engrossed in your big house and your fine car. So the Lord said, come out of her. Now let's go to the last place. Zechariah, the 2nd chapter. Zechariah chapter 2. Zechariah chapter 2. We're going to start at verse 3. Zechariah 2 and verse 3. Okay, read it.
And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls for the multitude of men and cattle therein.
Now he said, I want you to tell this young man that Jerusalem is going to be inhabited. Just like they was, it's going to be without walls. In other words, they ain't going to need no army. Why? Go ahead.
For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her.
So I'm going to be in the midst of Jerusalem. I'm going to be right there in person. So who's going to come against her?
That's right.
Skip down to verse 7 and go ahead.
Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon.
Then letting you know, this talking about us again. This is all future. Deliver yourself. First learn what the Lord wants you to do, and the Lord going to fix it so you can deliver yourself. But you got to do deliverance first in the head. Go ahead and read. What verse?
Verse 8. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you.
This is Jesus saying, after the glory have he. Who is this he? The Father that has sent me to the nation that spoiled you. Go ahead and read.
For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye.
So we are the apple of the Father's eye. We have much more worth than we think, don't we? Go ahead and read.
For behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants.
Go ahead.
And ye shall know that the Lord of hosts has sent me.
So I'm going to shake my hand over the nation, and they're going to be a spoil to you. And you shall know that the Lord has sent me. Go ahead and read.
Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion.
Go ahead.
For lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord.
But look, I come, and I will rapture you off to heaven.
Dwell in the midst.
I'm going to dwell in the midst of you, said the Lord. Go ahead and read.
And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day.
That's when the Lord is going to adopt the rest of the sons of Adam during the millennium period. Go ahead and read.
And shall be my people. And I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts has sent me unto thee.
Even when I adopt the rest of the nation and give it the name Israel, I'm going to still dwell in the midst of you. My firstborn. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land.
Go ahead.
And shall choose Jerusalem again.
And he's still going to do it, sisters and brothers. The Lord's going to deliver us, but he's going to do it, and he's going to dwell among us so we won't go stupid no more. But as far as the nations that have enjoyed using us, God said you was overzealous. Therefore, you owe me something too, and I'm going to collect from you just like I collected from Israel. Thank you for your time.
Your son.